Welcome back, my computer duders. I have a sordid tale of woe and intrigue to unleash upon your tender little ears, and they are tender. I actually recorded 2 episodes back to back after this point in the game. I'm not falling for this again. If I follow her, she's just going to lead me straight to a house with Chris Hansen sitting in it. I mean, I'm not going to fall for the first time ever. Oh, sick. It looks like somebody did a messy fart right on their foreheads. Not that I would know what it looks like when you do that on a baby. That's not what I met Chris Hansen about. Despite what you've heard, what could possibly go wrong here? Though, look at these happy little trees. Look at these bright colors. A ghost can't fucking manifest here if it's. I guess it's got that creepy little kid vibe though. Like little kids are weird little goblins. I don't know if you've noticed. Oh, what? Did I see those flicker? The toilet paper rolls. Oh my. Ghost toilets! The final puzzle piece falls into place, and everything is revealed. Of course, the ghost turds would have to come from ghost toilets. Has my ass been haunted this entire time? You can say it, it's okay. What a twist. It didn't sound like your heart was in it that time. Oh, you know, ever since the divorce, I've been taking my life day by day. Oh, that's rough, buddy. I didn't know about that. Yeah, it turned out that she was a man all along. What a twist! Oh, dude, that was some Andy Kaufman level shit right there. You kept us all in suspense. But then it paid off. There's nothing. What's the point of this fucking area except to reveal that ghosts can be toilets too? Can objects be ghosts? You need a soul to be a ghost, right? So gingers can't have ghosts. And neither can really fat people. Unless they're wearing Hawaiian shirts and are the life of the party, in which case I'm okay with them having souls. Only the finest t-shirt made in the premium child sweatshops of Thailand. Look at that luxurious texture. Sewn by the deft little hands of enslaved children. Do you remember when all shirts had this quality? Pepperidge Farm remembers. What little kid wants to play on this? Do iPads not exist in this universe? That's all children want now is an iPad with Minecraft on it. Like, you ever notice how when there's illustrations of Santa's workshop, the elves are making like little wooden trains and shit? Where if a kid actually got a wooden train, like under the Christmas tree, he would look at his parents like they smeared shit directly under his nose and be like, "What the fuck is this? I want to be emancipated. I'm calling child welfare tomorrow." Oh, whoa, little fort. Don't fart in my fort is the only fort rule. I used to love shit like this when I was little because my imagination would make it so much more than it really was. Like, I would turn it into a whole micro country and I would establish a hierarchy of royalty and notify the children who are going to be the serfs to begin laboring upon our behalf. I learned some brutal lessons in structures like this, and also McDonald's Play Place that I talked about during the Spooky's Jump Scare Mansion. That was the real school for me. That was the school of hard knocks where I learned about human nature, because if you put a bunch of little kids inside even a brightly colored plastic network of tubes, as long as they can't be supervised or directly observed, I mean disciplined, like adults can't follow you into the play place to punish your ass. It turns into Lord of the Flies real fucking quickly. Like I said, little kids are scary. They're sociopaths. They look so cute, but they're totally amoral until the age of like 12 or later. I guess it depends on the rate of development. Oh, glowy star stickers, nostalgia. It looks like this in my room, but just because I have an ultraviolet light and I spooge really far. And one time it went into the ceiling fan and got splattered everywhere, so now my room looks like a planetarium. That's a silver lining, if you ask me. Is there anything spooge can't do? A Christmas Tale, starring Ebenezer Spooge. That'd be a badass porn name. Like a male porn star named Ebenezer's. Ah! Well, I thought it was funny. Fuck you. Ebenezer Spooge. You don't hear that every day. Hello? Can I... Okay. Oh. Oh, it's this part again. This part was like my nemesis. This is like the water temple of this game. It's basically a long game of Simon where you have to memorize the steps to perform in each level, and then it adds another level. Like you can go down and you have to do the steps on that stage and then the steps on the stage above it. And then it adds the third level on top of that, and you have to do all the steps for that level, and then that level. If it doesn't sound fun, that's because it fucking isn't. That's on you, Thailand. You know what you did. Watch this. What am I hitting? Oh yeah, I don't have the thing yet. I have to go all the way fucking over there. Okay. It stops being scary after like 2 times. And then the stomach sinking realization sets in that it's just going to be a horrible, unfulfilling grind. Like life. And here's the poop chute. Everybody knows the poop chute. It's that chute in your building where, when you're a kid, all the kids gather and they take dumps into it when the toilets aren't working. And then you find out that that's the laundry chute. So you all blame it on the fat kid. I'm picking on fat people. What's up with me? Fat people are delightful. Santa Claus is fat. Of course, my headcanon is that his body is a bag of holding, and that's where he fits the presents. That's really stupid. Take that out. Making it make a scary sound every time I read a piece of paper is like The Boy Who Cried Wolf. It diminishes the effect of that sound. It's like, oh shit, a pencil. Oh shit, open the door. Here it comes. Tighten your sphincters in 3, 2, 1. The enemy is now a slow black man. It actually is a black man, so don't get mad at me for that. Which really the game is the one being racist because black men are not slow; they're fast. If you ever watch the Olympics, it's always some dude from Kenya who wins the dashing contests. That's because they can tap into Marvel's Speed Force from the Marvel universe, like the Flash. A lot of people don't know that. It's a racial bonus, like in Morrowind or Oblivion, where you get to choose like a superpower that corresponds to whatever class you picked. Like if you pick black, then you get super speed, but all the cops are aggro to you naturally. Yep, and then he magically stops chasing you just because. Video game reasons. Have you ever seen those awareness raising videos about unpacking your invisible backpack of privilege, where they like have a diverse group, at least as diverse as the original 1990s Burger King Kids Club, of like a black guy and a white guy and an Asian woman and so forth. And then they have them race, but then they put uh like shackles and barriers, some like handicaps on everybody but the white guy, ignoring the fact that Asians like are overrepresented at U.S. universities. But whatever. I'm not about to whine about that because I'm not at that point. But doesn't that tacitly suggest that in fact there are performance differences? To say that white people have natural advantages, then they have to make some kind of rationale to where that's not them being the racist one. Like, oh, well, there's artificial advantages brought about by white supremacy, even though we have laws in this country that explicitly permit and, in fact, require all businesses and government institutions to discriminate against white people in hiring practices. Then, if you're willing to entertain the idea that natural differences in ability do exist and correspond at least somewhat loosely to race, then there does start to be a case for giving other groups a leg up, because if we all have to live together, it smooths everything out and makes life less humiliating and difficult if you handicap the groups that overperform and give bonuses, buffs to the groups that underperform. It's like they're balancing them like it's an MMORPG, and they're nerfing certain groups and buffing other groups. It's just they can't admit the reason why they're doing it. Which means there needs to be a villain to explain. Like if there are no natural differences in ability that correspond to those groups, then there has to be some bad guy to explain why some groups underperform. That's why the explanation is always white racism, because it has to be. And that's the group that is kosher to blame everything on now. If you look at it from the standpoint of a government that has to make life livable for millions of people, then it makes sense to do stuff like that. To like buffs and nerfs, and because you don't care about like individual annoyances, and at that scale racism does appear every bit as foolish as it is, because unless you're religious or something, humans are just a species of primate. So fucking what if there's a bunch of different subspecies of primates specialized to different biomes on the planet? They still have to be able to fucking live and work together, which means you have to figure out a way to manage the population in such a way that everybody finds a productive niche, and any innate differences are concealed or are compensated for. Oh, look, it's Talia from Mass Effect. Lens flare, the waifu. I guess my only gripe with that approach, I understand the pragmatic reasons why they do it, from a big, in the big picture sense. My only gripe is that I'm a member of the group that they've chosen to make the scapegoat to explain all underperformance. It really is going to fucking suck for the unmelanated among us. Uh-oh. I made a wrong turn. Go away, ghost! Go away, spoopy ghost! Do you want candy? Do you want candy? I offer you candy. Can I still make it? Can I still make it? Where did I go? Oh, there. Don't you pop out. And then they stopped chasing me out of the goodness of their hearts. Hello, little black girl. Ploy? Why is your name Ploy? Oh, she was a ploy to keep him in the relationship. Ploy, listen to the emotion in that reading. Well, actually, that might work in Thailand as a substitute for payment. I got nothing. This is weird. No, you're not. You're a good father. Oh, Ploy. He's actually the father of the year because Chris Hansen's tip of the day is child predators can't get at your kid if your kid is a ghost. Because when they try to fucking reach in and touch them, their hand will go straight through. A dead child is a safe child. At least going through that once before allowed me to memorize it so that you didn't have to sit through the agony of watching me for 2 solid episodes die over and over trying to solve that. Like, did you notice at one point there was a magic room where you just go into it and wait, and the ghost can't pass through the wall to get you, but only in that room? In any other room, the ghost can pass through the walls and get you? Anyways, a lot of stuff like that, affirmative action shit like that, is easier to understand if you take a removed. Imagine yourself as the government trying to manage a population of hundreds of millions of primates. When you do that, all the sinister stuff that conspiracy theorists warn you about, like putting microchips in people, starts to seem like a really good idea because that's what you do with cats and dogs. And if we didn't do that, it'd be impossible logistically to keep track of their medical care and whether or not they've been spayed or neutered, who they belong to. It's just people don't like being seen that way. They like to imagine that at the top of the totem pole. Then again, does the system we have right now really uplift underperformers, or does it just hobble the performers to bring them down to the lowest level, lowest common denominator? Oh, all right. You better not pop out at me. If you fucking pop out at me, I swear to God. Don't you pop. I had one request. That was that you not pop out at me. What did you do? Oh, hello. What was that? Oh, it was a QTE. I failed it, didn't I? Oh, God, he's ugly. I mean, he's charming and probably has many people in his life who love him. Speaking of conspiracy theories, have you ever noticed a lot of the stuff that they try to make sound sinister, like Agenda 21, is actually just really good common sense ideas about how to structure cities in order to minimize the usage of fossil fuels? Like Agenda 21 is basically just fighting urban sprawl. Ah, fuck! I'm safe up here. Ghosts don't understand stairs. That's just basic science. It baffles them. Stair technology is the only technology that humans have that still can fucking confuse ghosts. Anyways, a lot of this stuff is just me reading the derpy opinions of contrarians. People who are just against whatever the government wants because the government wants it and they don't like being told what to do. And being a counter contrarian. Like, the only way to be a nonconformist these days is to be a conformist. But in the process, I found out that, in fact, the government is not mustache twirling villains. A lot of the time, they are right about stuff. Like vaccines. Vaccines are not, in fact, a plot to poison us. And Agenda 21 is just fighting urban sprawl. It's saying the more people we can persuade to live close to the city, the less fossil fuel will be wasted by people commuting into and out of the city from suburbs, which were one of the most wasteful concepts. But then again, people are like, well, I grew up in the suburbs. I don't want anything to change. And if you tell me things have to change, I'm going to make up some sinister reason for it. Burn all the seals. What did seals ever do to me? I mean, there was that one seal that raped my butthole, but I'm not going to judge them all as a group. I think the solution to a lot of prejudice is not necessarily being totally inclusive, but being more precise in your condemnation. Like, for example, there are plenty of specific men that are bad. So being wary of men is not a prejudicial thing, necessarily, if you are judicious about the ones you are wary towards. Likewise, instead of condemning an entire group, if you condemn the specific individuals who do something wrong, And I see this a lot with Islam. It's not necessarily wrong to oppose Islam on the grounds that it's a false religion, which is sort of redundant as a saying, but not, it's not every group of Muslims that produces terrorists. In fact, it's only one group. It's Wahhabi Islam over and over again. If you go check the Wikipedia for terrorist incidents and look at who's responsible, it's that one specific subgroup of Muslims, and the rest are relatively harmless. So I don't think the solution is to demand people and even condition them with propaganda to be accepting of all forms of Islam. I think because that would be like calling everybody who has a problem with the Westboro Baptist Church bigoted against Christians when they're not. What is so funny? How do I grab that? There we go. So yeah, identify the pattern. Don't don't just hate on anybody who's wearing a hijab. The Wahhabi is Muslims are to Islam what the Westboro Baptist Church and the KKK are to Christianity. They're the troublemakers of that religion, and not coincidentally, that's the form of Islam that our supposed allies in Saudi Arabia are funding the propagation of around the world. Every other type of Islam is basically harmless, except for the fact, of course, that it's got the same problems with homophobia and misogyny that Christianity has, but a bit more severe. But the terrorism is a problem that stems entirely from this one small subgroup. So if you're gonna heap hatred, then be precise about it. Don't just shine a big flashlight. Narrow that beam into a laser, and use that laser to cut out the tumor that needs to be removed. And you think that every other Muslim doesn't fucking hate the Wahhabis? Or I guess Salafists, they're sometimes called. Of course they fucking hate them. It would be like having somebody who goes around dressed like you, kicking people's dogs and giving you a bad reputation. Can I just do it here? I can. Can I grab that dagger? Why not? Why don't I just straight up start shivving ghosts? You know what I realized? There's a lot of political groups out there who have good arguments, but they insist upon making their point in a obnoxious and confrontational way because they don't just want the group that they are fighting. Uh-oh. Nope! No! Ah! What's going on in my pants? Why were my pants like that? Anyways, as I was trying to say, they don't want the group they're fighting to just roll over and give them everything they want, because that's anticlimactic. They want a battle. How convenient. Fire solves everything. Yeah, that's why feminism has a lot of good arguments, some which go on tangents that are unsupportable and verge on misandry, but they have to make their points in a confrontational way because they want victory. They want to fight the enemy and win. They don't want negotiation. I can fight her? Why can I fight her now? I don't understand. If I could just judo. And they all died at the end. If I could just fucking judo chop her ass, why didn't I do that sooner? So yeah, the point I was making is BLM, a core of good arguments and a lot of anger. Modern third wave feminism, a core of good arguments that they derive their sense of validity from, and then a lot of anger. And if they didn't feel the need to turn every argument into combat, they would get a lot more takers. You know, you get more flies with honey than vinegar. But I think when you have a movement that has an enemy, a distinct enemy, like how the Nazis had Jews and how third wave feminism has men as the enemy, and BLM has all white people as enemy, and enemies, and the alt-right has Jews again. Oh, I already covered the Nazis. Then it makes a civil argument impossible, because they just want to fight you. They don't want to negotiate with you and arrive at an improved mutual understanding. They want to overcome and defeat you for the sake of their narrative. And no actual good progress happens that way. Nobody who's looking to fight you is a reasonable person. If they're not open, if you're willing to give them what they want, but they don't want it peacefully, they want to humiliate you in the process, that's not a reasonable person, I guess, is the takeaway here. So, Araya. Pretty dope, right? There's another game by the same developer called Home Sweet Home. Probably I'll play that next. If not, I've downloaded a bunch of other Oculus horror games recently. So look forward to watching those, or don't. I don't care. I really couldn't give the thinnest sliver of a rat turd. Goodbye!